things we will be seeing at a later time.
You like that idea?
The magic of Disney animation. That looks good. And we go for the backstage tour. And these are the buses we're going to be on. And it should be really fun.
Many of you are probably familiar with it already. It's where the newest animated featurettes starring classic Disney characters are currently being drawn. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. It's a great show. Right now they're working on Roller Coaster Rabbit. That's the newest animated short. It stars Roger Rabbit. And you can see it while it's being drawn. It'll be out around Christmas time. You can say, I saw that when it was being drawn. It really impresses friends and family. Want to take photos and videos, go right ahead. You can take as many as you want, unless of course you run into a working production area, and that may not be allowed, but don't worry, Aunt Margot will let you know if that happens. If you take a look over to your right and high in the sky, you're going to see the symbol of the Disney MGM Studios. That's our award-winning Earful Tower, which stands exactly 13 stories tall, and is capped off by two gigantic mouse ears, which weigh 16 tons. In case you're wondering, the cap size is 342 and 3/8. Over to your left are our bungalow buildings. These are the homes to all the production crews that are currently filming or taping here at the studios. Bungalow number 3 is the home to the all-new Mickey Mouse Club. You'll get a good behind-the-scenes look at the Mouse Club on part 2 of your tour. And it does show weekdays on the Disney Channel.
5:30.
Next, we're going through our greens department. This is where we keep all of our plants, trees, and shrubs until they're needed on the set. Greenery is usually used to hide what the camera's not supposed to see. For example, we can use a large row of those trees back there to hide the fact that only part of the set was actually built. And if you look down, you'll notice that they're all in portable boxes. That's so they can be easily transported onto the set. And once they are transported onto the set, each branch, leaf, and twig has to be carefully fireproofed. And believe it or not, even our greens department has its own cast of characters with its topiaries. Those topiaries take 10 years to fully develop. Pete's Dragon, the largest one, has only been growing since '81, so he's got a little bit longer to go. Gives you a good idea on how they're actually formed, though. Next, we're going into one of our most glamorous departments, and that's costuming. Here in costuming, we have over 180 artists who design and produce our costumes for our motion picture, television, and entertainment needs. You'll also see original costumes worn by Bette Midler in Big Business, Warren Beatty and Dick Tracy. Julie Andrews in Mary Poppins, this dress is 25 years old. Michael Jackson and Captain EO that shows over at Epcot Center. And the co-stars of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Here in costuming, it all begins with the designer sketches that you can see along the far wall. From there, the seamstresses and tailors take over, and they use over 175,000 yards of fabric each year. And with over 2.25 million garments, we are the largest working wardrobe in the entire world, right here in Florida. Next is our lighting department, where we keep all of this equipment until it's needed on the set. With over 3.5 million watts of power that we can supply, we can light up the entire city of Orlando. Beyond that is our smaller props department. Looks like Roger's been here. And you can find props anywhere, from garage sales to antique stores to flea markets. You can't find it, just build it in the Scenic Shop. And then we have the camera department, where we keep all the film and video equipment until it's needed on the set. The last thing you're going to see is our Scenic Shop, where carpenters begin construction on sets, later finished on sound stages. These guys in here can build just about anything, from a 40-foot submarine that was used for a rock video to a gigantic turntable that they use on the Mickey Mouse Club. Now, speaking of the Mouse Club, that's a set that's used over and over again. It's referred to in the business as a standing set. Now, standing sets can be as simple as a bedroom or elaborate as an entire house. Now, coming up, you're going to see some pretty unusual houses. When production crews film or tape on location, they have to put up with all different types of problems, like crowds, traffic, and knowing how to get around that, a lot of times they just prefer to shoot on the studio backlot. This is our own residential street. But if you're thinking about moving into this neighborhood, you better think twice. These homes are just facades, as you'll see with the house on your right. And even though they look like they get a little drafty, you can control just about anything, even the weather here. For example, we recently used this for an Isotoner Christmas commercial. They had the, what? Oh, you guys, Herbie, the love bug. Come up, say hi. Hi, buddy, how you doing? Herbie is parked in front of the house that was used in the movie Ernest Saves Christmas. Herbie, one and active. That little first house that we passed by, and before Herbie came up to say hi, it was used in a Christmas commercial in the middle of August. They had the entire place decked out for Christmas. Had hand-picked some of the leaves off of the tree, and actually put 5 inches of real snow on the ground in the middle of August. One of the main things you can control. By the way, over to your left, this beige house may look a little familiar to you. Every Saturday night, it's the home of Estelle Getty, E. Arthur, Rue McClanahan, Betty White, the Golden Girls. The exterior footage is shot here and then is edited in later, with the interior footage which is shot indoors on the soundstage. Once the house is chosen for a shoot, the next thing to do is get the production designers and set dressers out and put the finishing details, like this last house here on your left has the big wheel, the bike, the frisbee. Little things like that really make a big difference when you shoot on a back lot. Now the only thing missing there is the swing set, which is conveniently located across the street in our residential street playground. It all fits together. By the way, that blue house you'll be seeing in a Coca-Cola commercial that's going to be coming out pretty soon. And all of these homes were recently showcased in a Better Homes and Gardens commercial. So you'll see them all when you go home, and you can impress friends and family by saying, yeah, I was there. Coming up, you're going to see the urban counterpart to residential street, but we'll be chatting about that in just a few minutes. How's everybody doing back there? Hey, what's up? I see you around the corner. Now, even though we build a lot on the back lot, sometimes we leave places as is. For example, this small wooded area over to the left with just the right camera angles and lighting, you can make it look like a small wooded area. Over to your right is what's known as our Boneyard. This place is really neat. Love coming back here. It changes all the time. This is where we keep some of the different props that we've used in previous productions. For example, we have the back half of the plane of Casablanca. The front half is over in the Great Movie Ride. We also have the blue car that was Eddie Valiant's in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Now, this was after Roger got his hands on it. Never let a tune drive your car, ladies and gentlemen. And also, we have the train cap from Tough Guys, number 4449. Star Kirk Douglas and Burt Lancaster. The snowspeeder from The Empire Strikes Back. A sand skiff from Return of the Jedi. That's where Billy D. Williams and Harrison Ford escaped the ominous sandpit monster. A space pilot from Flight of the Navigator. That was a Disney film. Wonder Woman's invisible jet. Get some good pictures of. Now you can see the Kill Bill. As we move down the street, you can see the front of the house that was on residential street, and you can see the back sides of the houses and see how they're actually constructed. These houses were made so that you can alter their appearance at any time. They can get a quick coat of paint, and instead of using nails, they use screws so you can change the appearance of it within a matter of hours. And now you can get a good behind-the-scenes look at Residential Street. Notice how the architectural details, they just stop right beyond camera range. That's because basically we only need to build what the camera needs to see. Now sometimes on the back lot we need to build something that the camera can't see or find in the area. For example, where would you go in Central Florida if you needed to shoot on an active oil field in a rocky, dry, barren desert canyon prone to flash floods? Well, you got me, and I've been a Central Floridian for some time. So what did our nutty production designers do? They built a set like that right here for a movie called Catastrophe Canyon. Normally, we wouldn't be allowed to go in on closed sets like these because, especially with this movie, the special effects were just far too dangerous. But today, they're just shooting the rain sequence, and it just so happens that Doug is real good friends with the uncle whose father's neighbor knows the director personally. And really, it's not what you know, but who you know that gets you into sets like this. So we're going to go on in and take a peek, and I'll tell you a little bit more about a standing set. This set was modeled after one real canyon out in California. Although the equipment that you see, the oil equipment and the tanker are real. We have quite a time getting some of that stuff in here because of how heavy it is. For example, that tanker weighs over 3 tons. They had to hoist it in by use of a crane and actually reinforce the bottom. Hopefully they secured it and it doesn't look too safe up there. Okay, right now you may want to hold on to your camera equipment, small children or somebody you've met on the tour that you've grown quite fond of. And please remain seated at all times because you never know what can happen. On the backlight you can recreate anything, even the weather. For this movie we needed a real downpour. Since time is money in movie making, you can't always wait on Mother Nature. For example, the rain season. Then we survive. That are out in the rain. Isn't really made of stone, it's made out of a steel structure with a cement skin that's hand carved to look like the real thing. You also see the network of little yellow pipes that carried all the gas to the explosions that you saw. Now right beyond the little yellow pipes, you'll see the big white pipes. That carried all the water to that flash flood. Did anybody miss that flash flood? No? Okay. Well, that's why it's so creative when we open up the gates to water tanks up top that hold 70,000 gallons of water. Some of that water went down to air cannons. They're a special effect that shoots the water at you, makes it look like it's bouncing off the rocks. Those air cannons can take 275 gallons of water and shoot that water up to 100 feet. To give you an idea how powerful that is, if you were to take a basketball and put it in one of the air cans, you could shoot it over the top of the Empire State Building. Now to give you an idea how powerful that is, that's almost as powerful as light and day. That's mind-boggling. As you leave, you'll see pumps 1 and 2. That recycles that entire set so that another shuttle load of visitors can actually go in and see the same show 3.5 minutes after we saw it. Catastrophe Canyon was created with the help of a Hollywood special effects team. What seemed like an out-of-control disaster was actually a very safe, computerized sequence of events. It's being in complete control that makes shooting on a backlot so absolutely perfect for motion picture and television production. In fact, Walt Disney World South can be used as one giant backlot. Many times production crews like to use our tree farms, our hotels, and even the World Showcase to make it look like an overseas location. Okay, that's one shuttle. Here comes another shuttle. Let's just act like absolutely nothing happened. For you New Yorkers on board, you're going to feel right at home in a minute. We're going to New York Street, our own slice of the Big Apple. Get your cameras ready over your right-hand shoulder through this archway. Makes a real good shot. Now take a look at the forced perspective down at the end of the street. Notice how its appearance changes as we go closer down the street. Our production designers spent over 1.5 years designing and producing this street for good reason. Even though these look like real buildings, they're not. They're just facades like on our own residential street. But what's really amazing is the fact that even though this looks like real brick, concrete, and stonework, it's not. This entire street is made of fiberglass and styrofoam. Has a very thin layer of cement on them to keep them from deteriorating and give them a little bit more stability. One of the reasons they look so real is because our production designers spent such a long time actually weathering and aging them to make them look like they've been standing for decades. And also all of these little props, some of them are metal, some of them aren't, that look like they're made of metal. And they're all removable and interchangeable, so you can make this look like any city at any time frame. As we turn the corner, you'll see our forced perspective. That's an old movie trick that production designers use to make the street look like it's going on forever. Even though to us it looks like paint applies to the camera lens, and you'll notice when you get your pictures back, it really looks like a real thing. Even though we have the Empire State Chrysler buildings on the back of the forced perspective, we can remove that and make it look like any city at any time. In fact, that's one of the good things about working on a backlot, is that you can control your environment. For example, one time we had a production crew that made it look a little too realistic, came out and had to trash out the street with garbage and trash. They spent a long time doing it. Well, they went home that night for the shoot the next day, and the custodial crew that night came and cleaned the entire thing up. So the next day they come onto the set and notice that the entire thing has been cleaned up, in fact, and so you can say our ties with the custodial crew are a little bit more open than before. Now we're going around the park that we went around to get into New York Street. This park can also be used for many different reasons. The town square to any small city, or the gateway to New York City's Washington Square. Whatever your movie needs or doesn't need.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks so much for sticking around. Please like and subscribe for more great videos, and remember that I upload videos on Mondays and Thursdays.